If you had one tip when you're trying to budget traveling in Switzerland, what would it be?
That is tricky.
When you think of Switzerland, what is the first word that comes to mind?
Well, it's probably either expensive or beautiful or both.
And that actually makes a lot of sense because it's ranked as both one of the most expensive countries in the world, as well as one of the most beautiful countries in the world. And if you're new here, I'm Blake and this is Ellie, and last summer we really wanted to go visit Switzerland, but it was completely out of our price range. However, we figured out that we could do it a lot cheaper in ways that a lot of people aren't really talking about.
Before we get started, you should probably know that doing Switzerland on a budget is more for adventurous travelers, but you can definitely take what you like and leave what you don't. So let's get started. Number one is getting there. You basically only have two options, either by train or by plane. We're gonna focus on the plane since most of you are probably coming from somewhere else. Our favorite way to find cheap, affordable tickets from the US is by signing up for flight alert websites. Our favorite is FareDrop, and we always get deals to Switzerland. And even if you can't find a good price to Switzerland, look for cities around Switzerland like Milan. We actually took a train from Milan into Switzerland, which was really affordable. Another way to find affordable plane tickets is by using miles and points. We love using travel credit cards, but if you are curious to start traveling with travel credit cards and redeeming those miles and points, check out our free travel hacking guide below. Another really helpful tip to find affordable flights to Switzerland is by setting a Google flight alert. Find the route that you want and just click the alert button. Google will send you an email every single time there's a good deal.
Number two is accommodations. In some of the more popular areas like Zermatt, hotel prices during peak season can be $500, so it's a huge expense when you're wanting to go to Switzerland. We found there's two other options that work very, very well. The first of which is camping. Camping in Switzerland is definitely the best way to make your dollar go as far as possible.
I know for a lot of people, camping can seem intimidating, but you really only need three things. You just need a tent, a little mattress, and a sleeping bag. And if you don't own any, you can actually find very affordable camping gear at the decathlons all over Europe.
And camping in Switzerland isn't just cheap, it's actually some of the best camping we've ever done. In terms of shared spaces, like places to hang out, places to cook, the bathrooms were clean and beautiful. Switzerland is a very well-run country, and you see that in the campsites. And for us, since we were traveling by train to most destinations, it also meant that we had to store some of our belongings that wouldn't fit in our little tent. And in Switzerland, it's super convenient because there's actually lockage storage in almost every single train station across Switzerland.
We typically carry our camera gear, laptops, and big bags, so having the train station lockers was a total game changer so our stuff didn't get stolen or ruined.
If you're going to a bigger city like Geneva, the best option will probably not be camping. It'll probably be more like an Airbnb private room, which for us was significantly less expensive than any other option where you either had a whole apartment to yourself or had to do a hotel room.
And our experience with the Airbnb private room was so great. Our host stayed with us and we shared the same bathroom, but he was so nice and clean. Number three, trains. Switzerland is home to one of the most beautiful railways called the Glacier Express, and most tourists think they need to ride on the Glacier Express. However, after a lot of research, we found out that we don't actually need to ride the Glacier Express to have very similar views. We actually chose to take the local trains instead and found out that we had incredible windows, incredible views, and most of the time we took similar paths in the Glacier Express train. Also, a tip to make the trains more affordable is by looking into the Swiss Travel Pass, the Half Fare Pass, and the Eurail train tickets. These three options allow you to book trains for a lot cheaper of the cost, but it's only really worth it if you're going to be there longer than 4 to 5 days. And lastly, the way that I book most of our trains is mostly just on trainline.com, but you can also book them on the official site SBB.
Number four, food. Switzerland is actually famous for a lot of different types of food, and all of them are pretty expensive. You can go with the Swiss chocolate, or you can go with the Swiss fondue, both of which will set you back quite a bit of money. As an example of just how expensive Switzerland is, a pizza in Italy that costs $5 can cost up to $25 in Switzerland. So just crossing a border can make your dinner costs go way up. But for us, when we were looking for places to eat, we usually found ourselves at the grocery store, which always turned out to be the least expensive way to get food in Switzerland.
Hey Ellie, what time is it?
It's dinner time. Come on. So good.
That was terrible.
Since we were camping, we would take prepackaged meals like sandwiches or macaroni salad or things like that, and it really kept our costs down. But if you do want to go to a restaurant, there's ways to make your bill cheaper, like splitting pizzas or splitting fondue, so you're not actually getting one for each person. And one of our favorite tools to use to even get even cheaper food in Switzerland was through an app called Too Good To Go. And this app allows you to take food from like grocery stores and bakeries and places that they're just gonna end up throwing the food out. The food is still good, but they would have thrown it out, and instead they sell it to you for like $6. And when we were in Interlaken, we actually used Too Good To Go to get food and cook dinner with just a few other items from the grocery store. And it was probably one of our cheapest meals in Switzerland.
How much was dinner?
6 franc.
Nice.
Number 5, free things. A very simple way to save money in Switzerland is by simply just adding free things to your itinerary. There are so many different free and affordable things you can do in Switzerland, like just walk around and check out the cute little towns, go into the souvenir shops, take some pictures, find free hiking trails, and you can even find free walking tours.
Can you believe it's just like right behind you right now?
No, unreal.
And a very underrated way to find affordable and free things is by asking a local.
Know the right people.
Know the right people. You know what?
That's true.
I agree with that.
We use this strategy all over the world and always find the best things.
And lastly, our final thoughts, was it worth it to see Switzerland on a budget in the way that we did it? I would say yes. I think we had such a good time, and you're even closer to the nature when you're, sleeping on the ground.
One of my favorite things about doing Switzerland on a budget was that we were able to splurge on the things that really matter to us. Like for example, we got to go paragliding, which was $200 per person, which is a huge splurge, but luckily we were able to afford it. Something else that we splurged on was doing the Gondelgrat train up to see the Matterhorn in Zermatt, and that was amazing. And lastly, our last dinner in Geneva, we went to a really famous steakhouse, and that was so worth it. We definitely highly recommend that you do Switzerland on a budget. I promise you the campsites are nothing like the US campsites, and it's just gonna be the best way to really immerse yourself in Switzerland.
And be sure to check out our free resources below to get even more information.
And we'll see you next time on today's adventure.
Bye-bye.